It's the Shiftheads podcast with Shane Hewitt.
Welcome to the Shiftheads podcast. I'm Shane Hewitt. It is time for us to get into what the hell should we watch this weekend. Steve Stebbing is coming up for us in just 1 second. But before we even get to that, let's talk about the state of all the movies and the things, because the man himself is here. Happy New Year, Steve Stebbing.
Happy New Year, Shane. Good to see you, man.
It is good to see you. And we had a little break over the holidays. You kept pumping out the what the hell should I watch, which was awesome. Yep. By the way, the Stebbies was great.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. It was great to see Ryan too, and to get that dynamic back. That was great.
Yeah. And he will pop in from time to time when he can, just for everybody who's looking for some Ryan O'Donnell, which is great. The Stebbies now, it's been a couple of weeks since we recorded. You picked the wrestling movie.
Yes, I did.
You've watched more movies since. How are you feeling about everything? Are you still standing by your number one pick movie of the year?
I do feel a little bit rocked because I did check out a couple more films in the interim since we recorded that. And I'll give it its due. American Fiction is a movie that completely rocked my socks and is one of I would say it's one of the best movies of the year for sure, but I might be as far as say it's the most important film of the year. I'm going to get into that film, deep into that film next week with next week's What the Hell Should I Watch? It'll be my kickoff for that episode. But I will say right now, Jeffrey Wright, is the lead actor in this film. He's going to be an Oscar-nominated actor, and it's been a long time coming for the dude because even somebody that is not well-versed in movies, if they see his face, they know him probably from a myriad of different things, and they're like, I really like that guy. So it's about time that he got his due, and I think this is it.
Cool. Okay, he gets his name attached to the, I like that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. He could be Academy Award winner. Hey, I like that guy.
But that we see that, right? Where, I've seen that person. Oh, I like that. Oh yeah, I've seen that guy. I've seen that girl. I've seen that, right? And then you then all of a sudden something pops, if you will. And then they're able to get into that. Oh, okay. Now I know who it is.
Yeah. They go from, I know that girl to, that's Emily Blunt. Or, I like that guy. He's been in a lot of stuff. All of a sudden he's Tom Hardy. It just kind of snowballs. Out of nowhere. And sometimes, like Jeffrey Wright, it's decades and decades and decades of work, and still you're like, that guy. But hopefully that turns around.
Yeah, I get it. And I think that's a good example about, the one-hit wonders we hear in music all the time. People are like, I'm an overnight success if overnight is 10 years of work, right?
I mean, the same goes to like a passion of mine, wrestling. There's a lot of people that have been toiled on the indie scene for years and years and years, and all of a sudden they get a big WWE contract or one of the other companies, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're rookie of the year," and they're like, "Yeah, rookie."
It takes so long to get there. It's funny because I know that you've gone through this in your personal life, so have I. But the whole notion about what comes first, get a job or get experience, and which is exactly what this is for us. Is you would like to think that you could get paid all the things and make all the money right out of the gate, and then you apply for a job, they're like, I'm sorry, you love it but you don't have enough experience, and then of course your response is, but how am I supposed to get experience if I can't get a job?
Isn't that the Ouroboros right there?
It's exactly like this endless loop of, and it seems to happen again and again in our lives as we look at all the different bits and pieces that we go through. Learning how to take the radio show and turn it into video has been, oh my God, like what a journey of learning that it becomes. And then you go, I every single piece I run into means, I got a lot I don't know. And it just keeps coming again and again.
Well, it comes with the void of like, oh my God, all of this is new, is daunting. It is just a crazy open space that you don't exactly know what to do with. But at the same time, both you and I are going through this right now. It feels like every day you're gaining some new patch on your scarf of something you can do.
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
And honestly,
little metal.
Yeah, exactly. You can feel like you can, even with the stuff that I'm producing for you, you can see the changes as I'm making it. And as viewers, those changes are still going to keep happening because
Mhm.
I'm learning all the time
Yeah.
what to make new. And you'll even see new stuff in this week's
Financial
video.
restrictions are also a thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
They
Right.
really are. All right. So
Like
Steve
my
Stebbing,
studio.
yeah, right. And having a proper studio. I mean, I've
Yeah.
still got this, at least my
Yeah.
audio studio, but it's still
Mhm.
just that. It's still just a recording studio. It's not a video studio. Although I really love some of the fancy ones that are out there. That's for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Yeah.
Over the holidays, Steve, we saw a couple of shows bubble up. They're sort of
Mhm.
intended that way. There was some movie releases, which you've got some coming up, but one of the shows I wanted to bring up, I think was Reacher, The Return of Reacher. We didn't really dig
Yes.
into that one, and I really liked the first season, and then the second season I think is really great, but they've dripped it out slowly week over week.
Yeah.
And then I also coincidentally had watched a Tom Cruise documentary on Netflix about his history, and I forgot that he had done those Reacher stories, I don't know, about 10 years ago,
Mhm.
and they didn't go anywhere. And I remember my dad, who has read all the books, all the Jack Reacher books, and he had said, I just can't buy it that that little man Tom Cruise is Jack Reacher. I
Mhm.
mean, Tom Cruise is hanging off the side of glass window buildings and all things Mission Impossible, right?
Yes.
and
Yes.
and yet the Reacher movies didn't hit, but this Reacher TV show, I mean, also the actor's a giant.
Mhm.
um
Alan
it,
Richardson's a big boy. Yeah.
he's a big dude, and but it
Mhm.
seems to be going really, really well. What's your take?
I really like Reacher quite a bit. I won't say that all the Tom Cruise Reacher ones, because there's two of them, that I won't say that both of them are a bomb. I thought the first movie is a very entertaining film if you don't have the conduit of reading the Lee
The
Child
books,
book
I
heading
like
into
them. I
it.
didn't read the books. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the movies
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, it's I like Tom Cruise, he
Yeah.
does a great job. Hey,
Yeah.
this Reacher story is really great. That was
Yeah.
all I knew.
Yeah, exactly. But once you get into the fact that Reacher is this broad, almost autistic feeling giant that solves problems just by the fact that he's powerful.
Yep, logic
He's
and power, right?
yeah, it's exactly it. And I mean, the funny thing is, all over TikTok, Reacher was the conduit to be able to talk to your parents.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
I thought that was really funny. Is like, do you want to connect with your parents? Do you want to connect with your dad? Talk about Reacher. And I was like, this TikTok has, I forget who put it out, but I'm like, this is pristine. This is what people need heading into the holidays is the conduit. And entertainment can sometimes be that conduit. And the greatest thing about Reacher is it is so broad. It is like a long sweeping procedural, but mixed with like great characters and the stuff that I think that as action fans, we really liked for a long time, and it kind of delves into that old school character nature
Mm.
of that kind of stuff. And the really good news, because there was such a period of time that we had to wait between season one and season two to be released.
Yeah, it did take a long
Season,
time.
yeah, season three was filmed simultaneously with season
Oh,
two.
I didn't know that. That's even better.
So there is going to be a break between season two and season three for sure, but I don't think it's going to be as long.
It's interesting to see because they very clearly put on there based on the story of so and so, right? For the
Hmm.
Reacher
Hmm.
ones. And
Hmm.
it doesn't look like they're gobbling up a whole book in 10 episodes or whatever it is, 12 episodes, which
Hmm.
is great. Yet you do have that sort of, I don't want to talk about my feelings, logic and strength kind of guy,
Hmm.
but he's, maybe this is the relatable part. He's the superhero that's lost, and he's just trying to find his way. He's quite, vagrant in that he doesn't have a home, and he just sort of walks around and spends his
Yeah.
days walking from place to place. But yet he does have a family of people that really care about him. And now that one of his former team partners has stepped in, and there's romance,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's going to provide an interesting dynamic of to how they follow the books and where it goes next, because that relationship whole thing, he's got the sister that loves him because they leave each other alone, but then he's got the the sweetheart that sort of stepped in notion. I'm
Hmm.
just excited to see where it goes now, and I just thought
Hmm.
the first season was amazing. The cop in the first season was dynamite. He does make a reappearance in the second season,
Hmm.
and the relationship with the cop to me was just great. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that. And then now to see
Hmm.
some of these people come back again in the second season is really great. Recommend it for me. Absolutely.
That cop is also in Follow the House of Usher that came out last year on Netflix. Another great series. So yeah, he had a rocket couple of years between
Yeah.
Reacher and that show. So yeah, it's good
Now that's
stuff.
on Amazon. If you want to check it out, go do that. Did you get the Amazon email telling you that you have your prices going up, or else you're gonna have to watch ads?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. How do you feel?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either. But I mean, I got to do what I'm gonna do, so I probably
Yeah,
might
you're
end
gonna
up
do it.
paying it. Yeah.
I struggle with the whole ads thing when we've
hmm
already paying a subscription,
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah,
And
it's just the evolution. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Well, we're
I
going
did.
back to where we were though. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I know. I
We've
know.
spent the
But
last 10 years leaving cable and commercials
yeah.
just to go back to cable and commercials. Now we're paying double.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
It's the streaming services, they have no precedence. There's been nothing like it before. So it's all new territory. So while to us it looks like regression that we're paying cable costs again, to them it's progression. I don't know. Either that or the ideology that they were able to do all this for such a low price point was really a pipe dream
Yeah.
and
And
unsustainable.
not sustainable. And not to mention the fact that it just goes to show how advertising drives the world, which we would love to have here on the podcast. To drive our world, we can happily take that one. Okay, Steve Stebbing is here.
I'm taking calls.
Yeah, right.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Call
Taking
me.
calls.
Call Steve. Either of us, actually, happy to take your call.
Yeah.
So every single week, Steve is producing this. Just so you know, the Steve Dead, which will link in the description here. You can follow Steve. Please do that on YouTube. Please follow the Shane Hewitt account as well, because I desperately need to get up to 500 followers, and so does Steve. That makes a big difference in the world.
I need to crack 50 at least.
Yeah. So please share this with your friends and everything else. And Steve does have his segment of this also published on his channel too. So shiftheads.ca, if you don't know it, to get in on the Facebook group and this community from the radio show that is still alive and well here. And shall we get into it, Steve? You're all ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. It's What the Hell Should We Watch This Weekend on the Shiftheads podcast. I'm Shane Hewitt. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? The first episode of 2024. Everybody's back to work. Everybody's figuring out what this year is going to bring them. And I will say, as far as theatrically, I mean, there's really not a lot that I can bring this week. I did some films that I wanted to catch up with over the last little bit, some random stuff that I haven't caught up with in a while that I wanted to get off my list, and so here we go. I mean, the big release of this week is Night Swim, which I haven't got to see. This is a new Blumhouse film, so I will hopefully be bringing that one eventually, but I am going to start off this week with some horror. Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. This is like a long gestated idea of his that he had in his mind for even before Hostel, and they did a small trailer for it in Grindhouse, which is so funny to see the journey from that little trailer to being realized in this full feature film, which I think is just awesome. And now, so it may be the second film now to come out of those trailers, because Machete was made into a film. So, but I will say, if you are thinking of pestering director Edgar Wright to make his little trailer into a movie, my advice is don't. All right, so with the Thanksgiving movie, Eli Roth just knows his way around horror as a genre, but specifically he knows the slasher films, and it seems that he brings all of his old school knowledge with a bit of modern filmmaking to it, and made something actually incredibly surprising to me. I was kind of blown away by how fun this movie is, and it doesn't kind of delve into Eli's mean-spirited nature that he sometimes goes through in this horror that kind of takes me out of it, but I'm looking at Death Wish mostly when I talk about that. But this movie really, really got me. Patrick Dempsey is like a really solid genre actor that I totally forgot can be really fun when it comes to these out of the box type of films. And he's not exactly new to the genre, but it has been 23 years since he was in a slasher film because he was in Scream 3 in 2000. He is really great in this one. I don't want to delve too deeply on him, but I think he is really the draw for this film. And Rick Hoffman as well from Suits, who is just really good at playing like kind of sleazy characters. So I like that. There's some good solid kills to this one, some great gore. There's some stuff that was alluded to in that original trailer for Grindhouse that gets realized in this one, like the trampoline scene. There's certain qualities to it I really dug. And I'm really happy to know that Eli Roth has announced that there is going to be a sequel coming for it. I feel like the ending is open enough to do this without much writing acrobatics to do it. So yeah, I dug Thanksgiving quite a bit. I gave it a 4 out of 5. So now we're going to talk about Butcher's Crossing. And 2 weeks in a row, I'm bringing Nick Cage stuff. But this is a film that I don't think a lot of people are going to know about. It's from Saban Films. It is like a frontier Western film. And the main star of this one is Fred Hetchinger, who people may have seen in Pale Blue Eye earlier in 2023. Or Pam and Tommy. He was also in that as a really sleazy character. And then he was in all 3 of those Fear Street movies for Netflix, which are actually really good if you like horror. Those Fear Street movies really rock. I really recommend them. But Nick Cage, he plays kind of a grizzled buffalo hunter because this is a frontier western tale, and Fred Hetchinger is like an Ivy League kind of student who wants to get more of a worldly experience, so he wants to join a buffalo hunt. Too bad he signs up with a guy played by Nick Cage who has insane amounts of ambition and want to eradicate all the buffalo that he possibly can and to take all the pelts for himself. Like he's got a very megalomaniac mind to him, and it quickly devolves into a survival thriller of a kid definitely out of his element with people that are hell bent on greed essentially. And honestly, I think the production value kind of slogs this one a bit. I feel like Nick Cage is always giving his best work, and Fred Hetchinger is giving his great work in this one too. Alexander Berkeley's in this one, almost completely unrecognizable. Like I guess the guy's aged a lot over the years, and he plays an old man character. And then I was like, had to glimpse him, like that's the guy from Sid and Nancy. Like holy crap, wow, But the production value is a little lower on this one. The camera work isn't great, and I feel like in a more capable production team's hand, or maybe help be a bigger Hollywood production, this actually would have been a pretty solid film with a really interesting message behind it. All right, we're gonna do TV this week. I just have one show that's coming out this week that I wanted to give a little bit of background on it. It's called The Brother's Son, and this has a supporting performance from Michelle Yeoh, which is a big draw for me. But basically, it is about like a yakuza or like a triad enforcer, the son of an enforcer who goes back to his birth home in America to get his family back together because he's kind of on the run as a target after his grandfather is killed. But his mom and his younger brother are living out of the triad grid and everything, and are living their own normal American life until Charles, our main character, shows up. And I mean, right from the get-go, there has really cool fight scenes that I really, really, really dug right away. And I mean, I'm a simple guy. If you got good action choreography, I'm totally in. And Brother's Son has it going on. This one comes from Brad Falchuk, who is a Ryan Murphy guy. This is a guy that was behind American Horror Story, Glee, all those show like he's a regular Ryan Murphy producer staple. Um, so that I was like, "Ugh, is this going to be sustainably good?" But I mean, it's got a hard R rating, at least in language and violence, so that makes it more interesting to watch and a little. I would almost compare it to that Arnold Schwarzenegger Foo Bar show, but I think the action in the show is a little bit better. Episode one is a really solid entry point. Does it continue? I don't know. I'm gonna keep moving my way through the series. I'm sometimes a glutton for punishment, and I need to have like a finality and finish a show, even if it's really terrible. So I'm looking at Daisy Jones and the Six as a show that I didn't think it was very good, but we cruised through every episode, all 8 episodes that there were. So once I pop, I can't stop, and it's same for movies, and it's something that I read out of Roger Ebert's book, where you can't fully critique something unless you've fully ingested it. I'm gonna do a couple that I'm late to, and the first one is a Netflix offering. It's an older one from Spain. It's a horror film that was released at the beginning of the lockdown period in 2020, and I missed it at the time and finally got to check it out. It's called The Platform. It's a nasty little dystopian survival thriller that's got some really solid gory bits here and there, but the message is really what's kicking it. It is definitely an eat the rich or an uprising type of film, like contained within the membrane. Also hits a little bit of that religious allegory as well. But there is a culinary aspect to this film that I thought added like a really interesting satirical comedy to it. And just the notion that there is this culinary excellence at the top of this crazy structure is kind of fascinating to me. And though I don't need a prequel, exploring that world a little more would be kind of interesting. And it does really take those big societal swings with its message and with its morals and everything. Um, and I think it really wears it all on its sleeve. Nothing's really that subtle to it. But I dug it. I love the shading of this film. It has a lot of scenes with deep reds to it, and I kind of love that kind of stuff. And flowing back to Argento Suspiria and stuff like that. So I dug this one. It is like a dirty version of that Canadian film from the late '90s, Cube, but with more of a Lovecraftian edge to it, a descent into hell, a descent into madness. So less of the problem solving things that were at the heart of Cube, and more is just kind of the despair. So I know The Platform was getting really good reviews when it came out. I think it's largely been forgotten since then, but I finally got to check it out, and I really, really dug the hell out of it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. The other one that's on my list is Daniel Isn't Real. See, this was a film that originally debuted for Shudder, and I want to say it's like 2018, 2019. But it comes from Adam Egypt Mortimer, whose only film that I really have memory of, and I really dug it, was Arch Enemy, starring Joe Manganiello. Manganiello? I'll never get that name right. Anyway, but after watching Daniel Isn't Real, I would say this is largely his crowning achievement. Like, this is such a well put together film from the beginning to end. And I had to say, it starts with the casting of Miles Robbins and Patrick Schwarzenegger. They're both Nepo babies at the top of it. Patrick Schwarzenegger, of course, is the son of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver, and Miles Robbins is the son of Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon. But they both give such incredible halves of their performance to create a whole that is just simply mesmerizing to watch. I mean, Miles Robbins plays this troubled character really well and plays the emotional pitfalls of it really well. And Patrick Schwarzenegger has this smile, this lecherous, evil smile from the get go that continues throughout the whole film that is just on a crazy level. And I only know this actor from his small but very pivotal role in Gen V on Prime, the spinoff of The Boys. But had I seen this one first, I would have known what kind of performance this guy's capable of. And it's funny to think that he's actually channeling Nick Cage in this one. So if you watch it with that filter in your mind, you can really see it. So he does such a killer job. The body horror in this is incredible, bordering on disturbing in many parts. There's a part in a therapist's office that is unforgettable. I will never shake some of the imagery that I've seen. And I mean, seeing that I got a lot of my love for that style of horror through David Cronenberg, I mean, this is new level stuff, and Mortimer is just incredible with this scene. I mean, it'll be an all timer for me. And honestly, Daniels Isn't Real might be an all timer film for me. I really, really dug this film. I should have known as soon as I saw Spectrovision that I was going to be in for a wild ride, and that is exactly what this film is. It's got a gorgeous synth score to it. The cinematography leaps off the screen. You can find it now on Prime Video. And it is well worth your time, especially if you just want to see a solid thriller. Yeah, this movie is a mind twist for sure. All right, let's finish up here with my geek outs. This first one, I feel a little guilty here. It fell behind my shelving unit, and I didn't realize that it'd been missing until I went through and cleaned up everything after Christmas, and I went, holy crap, my Office Complete Christmas Collection Blu-ray is here, and I should have covered it already. So now I'm covering it in the first week of January, and yeah, I know this is really weird, but I have to cover it because the people at MovieSing sent it out to me, and I love it. Like, this is every Christmas episode of The Office, so all 7 episodes that aired for the Christmas holidays, including some of my fan favorites, which are the Secret Santa. I love that episode, and the Benihana Christmas. One of my favorite holiday episodes, maybe of a comedy series ever. Like, it is just an absolute winner to me. And I'm not really a holiday gimmicky kind of guy, but there's some shows that they just kind of nail the Christmas holiday, and The Office was generally one of them. Greg Daniels and company, they just kind of knew what they were doing. So if you already have this series, then yeah, it is going to come off as a bit redundant to get it again. But if you just want a quick way to have those ones, it's definitely worth picking up. And now, being that it's not Christmas anymore, you can probably find it in London Drugs or any Walmart or something like that for like almost probably a blowout price now, because all of those holiday themed stuff, they start to drop in price in the first couple months after the holidays. This other one I bought for myself just because the price point as around $10 on eBay just made it a complete no-brainer. But is the Sarah Silverman Program Season 2 Volume 1. And I know Silverman's comedy isn't something that everybody is kind of into. It is a bit inane sometimes, or crosses a bit of boundaries. Like, I know season 1 had her going to the prom with God, which to me is freaking hilarious, but probably rubbed people the wrong way. But I've always kind of loved her irreverent comedy. I have since I saw Jesus is Magic, and kind of followed her stand-up comedy after I kind of feel I first saw her in School of Rock, I want to say. I was, oh, she's a stand-up comedian. I had no idea. Years and years ago, obviously. But this series, I love it. The supporting cast is hilarious. Steve Agee and Brian Posehn play her gay neighbors in this one. Her sister, Laura, is in this one. I will mention that Mr. Show's Jay Johnson is in this series, plays a cop who is dating Laura Silverman in it. But I don't want to give that guy too much bandwidth here, because he was arrested as part of the June 6th insurrection in Washington, D.C. last year, or in 2020, and fuck that guy. Like, if we're being completely honest, or sorry, 2021, but I'm like, yeah, don't don't give that guy any bandwidth whatsoever, even though Mr. Show is one of the greatest shows of all time. And I love the Sarah Silverman program so much. It was co-created by Dan Harmon. That name you would know from Community and Rick and Morty. Just a brilliant comedy writer. And also Rob Schraub is part of this. Rob Schraub's a bit different, a little bit off the beaten path. I think he did the second Goosebumps movie. He also wrote Monster House, a bunch of other stuff. He's really a great niche writer. I know him as a comic writer from Scud the Disposable Assassin. Just a really odd dude, and I love him. And his appearance in this program, he's the lead clown on a kids show, I believe, I think it's this series. Hilarious stuff, and just so off the wall. So if you like off the wall comedy, Sarah Silverman program season 2 volume 1 is like I said, roughly around $10. I believe all the series are roughly around that. So season 1 is a complete series, and then they split up the second season into 2, and then they were going to do a third season, but then they couldn't agree on budget, and stuff like that just kind of flatlines when money situation gets involved. And the final thing I'm going to end off today is The Expanse was sent to me by MovieZing as a complete Blu-ray series. That's 6 seasons in one set. I love this show. If you're not familiar with this show at all, but you love shows like Babylon 5 or Battlestar Galactica or even Foundation, which is on Apple TV Plus, I really recommend that you get into The Expanse. It's so well put together, such a great mosaic of characters and political and human rights storylines and everything, and it's so deeply well written, and I love the cast. I mean, your main cast is Stephen Strait, who's also a producer on the show, Dominique Tipper, and Wes Chatham. Wes Chatham actually just showed up in Ahsoka. He was the gold-faced elite warrior, kind of the second in command to Admiral Thrawn in that one. So you don't see his face in that, but he's a great presence, and I love his character in this. Amos, he's probably my favorite character on this show. Let's put the cards where they are. I'm just at the end of season 3, so I personally haven't finished it myself. But now that I have the whole box set, I don't have to keep watching it on Prime. I can now watch it on this format and just fall deeply in love with this story. I at the end of it, it might be considered one of my favorite shows of all time. It is that well done. A lot of great guest stars also appear in this one. David Strathairn, who is a character actor I've always loved. Shang-Chi himself, Simu Liu, is in this one. Thomas Jane plays a very pivotal character and like super like noir style detective character, which I eat that shit up like so much. I love it. And then Shorak Aghdashloo is in this one, plays a very pivotal character too. And yeah, I dig this show a lot, so I'm just basically going to sing its praises. Anytime someone's going to bring up, hey, I need a new show to watch, there's 6 seasons of this one. It went from sci-fi. Sci-fi couldn't handle the cost of keep putting out episodes, but the audience drive was there, so Prime did take over to finish the last, I want to say 2 or possibly 3 seasons. And yeah, it is solid through and through, just damn solid, and it evolves into areas that you would have no idea. All right, so like I said, a more abbreviated show this week. So I wanted to give something, like I'm not going to miss a week. Even if I only have 1 or 2 things, I'm going to bring it. But next week, I am going to tease that I do have possibly one of the best films of 2023, and a film that is going to be recognized when Oscar nominations come out, possibly for Jeffrey Wright as Best Actor. And the film is called American Fiction. So I am going to be checking that one out, and I'll be leading off next week's What the Hell Should I Watch with that. Thank you, everybody, for checking out this episode. I am Steve Stebbing. This is What the Hell Should I Watch? My website is stevestebbing.ca. You can find all of the episodes there, as well as on my YouTube page, which is just Steve Stebbing. You can also find it on the Shiftheads Facebook group. You can just search Shiftheads there, and that's with Shane Hewitt. And you might see this video prefaced, bumpered with a little message between me and Shane. And we thank you for checking that one out. But until next time, and again, the movie will be American Fiction that I'm leading off with. We'll catch you then on What the Hell Should I Watch?